All right, there we go. Hey everyone, hope you guys are all having a wonderful day out there today. The market is all over the place. We had a few things going up, but the majority of things today were just going down. And despite having good inflation numbers, which we're going to talk about in a little bit here, it turns out that if you keep on putting more tariffs and tariffs keep on going up and up and up and reciprocal tariffs, all that stuff, it's just too much for in the inflation data to overcome. I'm not saying the inflation data was not important, but the inflation data matters for about 2 to 3 months from now, and all of this tariff stuff seems to just have more of an immediate impact when it really shouldn't. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So hope you guys are all having a great day here today. I figured out what's wrong with my computer. There's no way for me to fix it at this moment in time because it is my GPU. But the goal here is that I just don't bump into my desk today, and then my computer is fine. If I accidentally bumped some cords that go into my GPU, the HDMI cords, my screens go black. So as long as I don't do that, for the most part, I think I'm in okay territory. So we'll see how it goes. That means when I give Loki a treat, you guys will get to see it in a couple seconds. But I'm literally backing up a little bit so he does not make contact with the desk. Because if he makes contact with the desk, monitors go off, stream ends in under like 2 minutes time, and it's a bad it's a bad show right there. So give Loki a little bit of treat and we'll hop on everything. Yeah, sure, good boy. Yeah. Oh, you guys can't even see him. I said can't back here. Oh, there you go. You guys can kind of see him. There you go. Good boy. Kind of. Beth, there you go. So before when I told you guys he was jumping on the bed and things like that, well, it turns out that when he jumps off the bed, sometimes he's hitting the wires that's making my screen go black. But because of Loki, I was able to find out what was going on. And so even now, my seat's a little bit lower so I can swivel without actually hitting the desk. I got a blanket right here so I can just rest my arms on here and not move them at all. I'm just literally moving my wrist right now. So you're going to feel like I'm in a different mood. It's the same mood, I'm just being extra careful, and I think I should be fine. So, happy to see all of you guys here. Hey Hiram, hey K-Plugs, hey 88 Chrome Dome, happy to see all of you guys here today. This is going to be a chill stream. I'm going to try to stream for 2 hours here until 6 o'clock and to see what happens. If my monitors go black, it is what it is. I might have bumped into something by accident. I might have shifted somewhere. I'm a heavy guy, so if I put my weight on something, it could definitely move this desk. But until then, we're going to have some fun just going over some of the data and seeing what we have going on. Because again, God, it's just a shit show right now. Just a complete shit show. So let's hop over here. There we go. So as far as what's happening in the futures market right now, everything is actually up a little bit right now. We have the Dow futures up, we have the S&P up, we have the NASDAQ up, and we have oil up, which is kind of interesting. Oil is at that level of support, which we've been talking about. But again, it has been coming down for a little bit here. There are a few articles I want to go into just to kind of give you guys an idea of what I'm planning, because I am still buying, as I said this morning, I still am buying some Bitcoin here, some Ethereum, and I think over the next week or so I will be buying up a lot more of altcoins. And I might even start this weekend, to be honest. I might even start tomorrow, but there are going to be small little nibbles in here, and I'll tell you guys when I feel like I'm more confident about the meme coin market and the altcoin market, because all you got to do is zoom out of those and you just see how bad they have been. And of course, I've been holding some of these things for months already, quarters already, so it's not like they're performing great for me at this point in time. I only managed to scale out a small amount before the market really turned down for the worst back in December, right? So, first one right here is why this week's positive inflation report won't look as good to the Fed. Something interesting about this report, just before we get into it, I'm not going to go deep diving into this stuff because I know you guys might find it a little bit more boring. But if you like it, read it. It's great reading. This one not only talks about the CPI report, but the PCE report that came out today. And the PCE report is more about what businesses are paying and kind of a business inflation. And the CPI is more like what me and you pay for as far as inflation is concerned, all right? So what I found interesting about this one is it said that PCE was rough, or wasn't that good. Bank of America economist Stefan Juno said in a note, in a short, progress on inflation has started off in 2025 on the wrong foot. Our forecast for the PCE inflation reinforces our view that inflation is unlikely to fall enough for the Fed to cut this year, especially given policy changes that boost inflation. We maintain our view that the policy rates will stay on hold throughout the year unless activity data really weakens. And I think this is something that people aren't really grasping right now. I would say some. And at the end of this article, you understand what I'm talking about. Trump is changing things in a different way, and he's having more of an impact, I would say, than the Fed is right now. One of the things I've been trying to tell you guys about is Trump at this point in time. He is doing more work to stop people from buying stuff than all the rate cuts, rate increases combined, right? What he's basically been doing is saying, hey, be afraid of the market, be afraid of the economy, be afraid of losing your job if you're a federal worker, stop spending money. And of course, the federal bureaucracy is massive, so you're talking about, tens and hundreds of thousands of employees that are all afraid and cutting back on their spending. And when you have people not spending as much, you're going to have a lower demand across the board for certain things. Not everything, but for certain things like travel, like Delta, right? You're going to have a lower demand. And when you have that lower demand, of course, Delta is not going to feel like they can increase their prices more and more and more, because they know if they keep on doing that, the amount of people that are going to be using their product is going to go lower and lower. And again, that goes across a lot of different industries here. And as we see this slowdown happen, I believe this is one of the reasons why we've had Trump's first real big month, right? Why we've seen inflation come down despite all the tariff talk, meaning that inflation will go back up. And one of the things I don't have open, but I probably should have open for you guys, is that typical inflation chart from Trading Economics, right? Where we've started to curl back down here, but you can see right here, the Trading Economics forecast for next month, for basically our month, but giving out next month, is going to be 2.5%. That's numbers we haven't seen since October of 2024. If it really does dip that far because of what Donald Trump is doing to scare people, which is offsetting all the tariff fears, right? As far as inflation is concerned, there's still people freaking out and there's still prices going up and stuff. But it means that Jerome Powell still is going to have, in my opinion, the ability to cut rates or announce that he is shifting towards a policy change. What this article goes on to say basically is, even though these guys happen to say that, hey, there's no rate cut happening in 2025, if you go down here, there you go. However, there could be some good news yet. As much as the expectation is for a bounce from February, many forecasters see inflation pulling back beyond that, even with the impact from tariffs. Citi thinks that March will see a much more favorable reading, with the firm predicting an out-of-consensus call of the Fed resuming its rate cuts in May. Market pricing currently indicates a much greater likelihood of a June cut. Right, so May, June, sometime this summer is when we could see things turn around. And of course, they don't typically turn around when the cut happens. Basically, when this Fed signals that a cut may be on the horizon, that's when we see the market start to bounce back up. But we're not really there. So if you guys wanted an easy opportunity to buy, it's going to be when the Fed starts to make that distinction, saying, hey, we're no longer saying the economy is perfect and great, or it's great, as they've been putting great or good. You're going to start feeling, I want to start buying more heavily, I would say, when the Fed says, okay, we're open to cutting. We see there are some concerns out there, and we might have to respond with a cut. So kind of in a mad scientist way, and I think this is actually what Donald Trump is doing with his mad science technique, if you want to call it that. He is putting the onus on the Fed to cut rates as he really pummels the economy, because these tariffs are damaging the economy. It just so happens that they're damaging the Canadian economy more, the European economy more, the Chinese economy more, the Mexican economy more. That's basically what's happening, right? So as we see this, there's nothing in the short term that's going to really get us excited. Even when we've had those good bits of news, and I know you guys remember the announcement for the Federal Reserve, not Federal Reserve, Bitcoin Reserve, Crypto Reserve, whatever you want to call it. We remember we had that big pop, but it wasn't enough to offset those bearish weekly charts. And even now, as Bitcoin continues to consolidate, we're still making lower lows here. So there really hasn't been too much of a divergence. A little bit of a divergence from the stochastic, but we're not done falling yet. A little bit of divergence from the RSI, but the MACD, which we really look at here for this type of stuff, we're not seeing a divergence there just yet. But maybe we will. Now, this is going to make things a little bit more interesting as we kind of pay attention to this inflation report. The jobs report and the was fine. The unemployment report, I should say, was fine. That was good. It was better than expectations. But I think I'm more on the side of the minority here, and I guess as Wall Street is saying, I am in the minority by saying I think we are going to see cuts this year. I just think the Fed doesn't realize how bad the economy is at this moment in time. And I think I'm just looking at the eye test, and I think the Fed and, Wall Street, they're going off of this like paid data that they get from across all these businesses, day-to-day data, things like that. And I wonder if the economy is just shifting in a way where we're just looking at two different things now. Because, when I look at my town or my, Tacoma or Seattle, Washington, I'm going through the streets, right? And I'm walking around, I'm going to get a haircut. I'm going to go find some new place to find some healthy snack because I'm on a diet now, for heaven's sakes. And I'm just walking for walking's sake, right? Again, for the health part of it. You see a lot of empty shops and a lot of empty storefronts, and it doesn't look good, and you're wondering what happened to all those businesses. Well, over the past 2 years, they've all been slowly, they didn't happen overnight, slowly they've been closing down, and nothing has been taking their place. The only ones that have been able to survive are the ones that give really good service and have really good food as far as restaurants. The coffee shops I like to go to, they've been closing down one by one, which has been a pain. All I got left over here is Bigfoot Javas, which if you guys know, like coffee stands in Washington, we have a shit ton of coffee stands, which maybe we had oversaturated market, right? So that's one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today. It's just, I don't think the Fed really understands that how the economy really is slowing down more than they think. I'm hoping that people can convince them. Maybe, what's his name? Muhammad Al-Arian, I think is his name. He's a really intelligent fellow, and I do listen to him, and he was talking about that a little bit more. But he was one of the guys that said the Fed was wrong to call inflation transitory, and then eventually the Fed had to change course. So I do have him on my side as far as my viewpoint, which is kind of good to see. One of the things, if you guys wanted to know, despite having that really good inflation number that went down, one of the reasons that we're going down as far as the market today, as far as Bitcoin and everything else, was this. And oh god, it was this was a pain to wake up to, right? Trump threatens retaliatory 200% tariff on European wine after EU proposes American whiskey tax. So at this point, it's not happening, but it's a threat. Because they said they're going to tax American whiskey. That's going after Kentucky. Kentucky's a red state. Trump loves red states because they voted for him and they helped put him into office, right? So what he's saying basically is, we talked about this yesterday, or it's me the day before yesterday. Yesterday I was working on my computer. He is not going to back down. The market can throw a fit, and we've seen the markets throw a fit in the past. He understands that the market's going to throw a fit no matter what he does right now, to try to kind of revamp the economy in a different way where it's not really reliant on the federal government to keep everything propped up, which that's going to be hard. That's going to be hard. Despite that, we're going to see this escalate until one side gives up and capitulates. We've already seen signs that Canada is trying to capitulate, but they still have a backbone. And really, the backbone from Canada isn't so much that, in my opinion, they really want to pick a fight with Trump. Canada's going through elections pretty soon, and both sides want to appear like they've been very tough on Donald Trump because they want to be elected and they want that power to do stuff in their own country, right? So again, it's kind of an international or internal politics going on over there. I think once they kind of have everything situated, they'll back down. Otherwise, America will really hit them hard. Like we said, they wanted to add that 25% tariff onto the energy coming into the United States. Trump was like, we're going to decimate your auto industry if you even try to do that. Test us. And then they backed off immediately. They put tariffs on other stuff, but they did not mess with electricity and the energy coming into the United States, which I think is very an important thing to really understand, because energy is a big part of inflation, and that's why Trump has been so hell-bent on lowering the prices of gas and energy. And you can see oil prices, for the most part, have been going down week by week. I mean, we haven't been this low in a long time. Have been this low since September of 2024. Then before that, all the way over here, May of 2023. It's been a minute. But I think people forget, we had relatively cheaper prices back over here in 2019, 2017, 2016 over here. We had cheap oil. We had cheaper gas. Because I think when you talk about oil, we just talk about a lot of stuff, but just gas. If you go over here to AAA gas prices, I love this stuff. Let me take a sip of my water here. I'm talking too much. Oh, there we go. You got to be the only conservative guy in Seattle? No, there's plenty of us. We just like hang out at the private clubs. You know, we're there bit by bit, I would say. But let me go over here very fast. Right, see, the current average is 307. A month ago, it was 316. A year ago, it was 339. Gas prices are going lower. Now, they're taking their time, right? But if you want to look at it, we were down like 3 cents over the past week. That is really what you want to see. You want to see gas prices getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Depending on where you live, it's going to be really affordable. Like where I live in Washington, it's like $4. But I've seen gas like at an Arca where as cheap as like $3.70. Now, I don't get my gas at Arca. I get it from like Shell and Chevron, but you can get gas as cheap as the 377 range. Oregon 379, California 466. You know, countries over states over here, they're still doing fine, right? Depending, I guess depends on how much you have, but Washington has a 50 cent gas tax on us, so we pay a little bit extra, of course. But you see that things are getting cheaper, energy is getting cheaper. That means it's just a little bit cheaper for trucks to get their products to the store, which means they don't have to rise prices because of the rising energy prices. Okay, it is a little bit different here, though. See, diesel a month ago was $3.67. Now it's basically $3.62. So it's going down, not as much as regular, but it is going down. And of course, a year ago it was over $4. So $4 to $3.62. We're moving in the right direction, right? So I think we're good here. I think we just kind of have to have a little bit more patience, but this patience is bad for the majority of the market, I would say, for us on the crypto side of things, just because of the altcoin bear market, I guess, that we're in. I would call the altcoin into full bear market. Even Bitcoin's technically kind of in a correction territory right now. Same with some of the stock market things, right? But you look at Bitcoin right here on this chart, you know, it's come down a little bit, but I wouldn't say it's a freaking travesty, right? Even if you go over here to this Bitcoin chart, which is naked, let's put a naked chart on here. All right, let's go to the monthly chart. You can see so far this cycle, we've had some dips before. We've been through the ringer. But look at everything else. So let me make sure this is set to auto. Ethereum, way lower than what Bitcoin is right now. Hitting our support level, though, if you wanted to buy off the order block, it is hitting it. I would do a dip buy. I wouldn't go heavy on this one, but it is hitting a level of support, which is pretty nice. Solana, breaking down right now, again, hitting a support level, maybe coming back down as far as $76 if we don't have some good news going forward. Dogecoin taking a tumble here. Let me get rid of all this Fibonacci stuff. Coming back down to moving averages and whatnot. Trump token's too new. Same with Melania token. WIF token, Bonk. You see how bad everything really looks. Miro, Baby Doge. Even Sheep's been taking a pretty bad hit here over the last few months, right? And again, this is a monthly chart. So, again, since December, when Jerome Powell said what? We are not going to be cutting anymore. You saw a lot of that momentum die immediately. So from the highs, you can see that Sheep fell down about 67% in about 4 months. This is why everybody is depressed. But again, if you go over to something like what's something that everybody likes to buy around here that's like kind of well known? Crypto Us likes AVAX. Let's go to AVAX, okay? It went down about 72%. But you remember, we had the same thing happen back over here, where for about 5 months, you know, we saw it come down around 74% as well, which was very, very interesting. But if you're looking at all these different tokens, because there's different types of breakout points and things like that, what we're seeing right now is basically new breakout opportunities. But when are we going to break out? I mean, it may not be till next year if we continue on this path here. I would say the good thing when it comes to altcoins right now is if you were looking at this like a stock, you might think it might have to take until maybe December, January, February for it to consolidate. But we've seen that these tokens can rally like crazy. And within 2 months, we can see a move that goes up, you know, around $38 or 341%. So if we were to go from here 341%, right, there's already a breakout that can happen within 2 months' time. So It's not going to be easy. I like to buy these little dips as they come along. Maybe not on AVAX, but new things I've been leading into, right? I have to buy something actually one of my friends told me about, but I got to do my due diligence first. But yeah, so again, you're seeing this happen across the board, though. I think this is where all the fear is coming along. I'm not really mad at Bitcoin dipping. I'm more mad at how bad these altcoins have been performing. Here's World Token, right? Had a nice little bounce. Again, this one had actually a really nice bounce. Like from the low it had over here to the high, it was up about 1,000%. So it doesn't look like a crazy move. It was a crazy move. And within 1 month from this close, it surged up to about 300%. So this thing was humming and moving and making us a lot of money. Now it's had 2 big drop downs. A lot of stuff has been the same way here. I'm just going to take advantage and do some dollar cost averaging, and my goal is by the time I'm done dollar cost averaging this, my averages will be somewhere around this level, right? Not at the very bottom, because you're never going to catch the bottom, right? But low enough so when it does decide to do this skyrocketing thing, even if it doesn't go to all-time highs, I can still sell here, scale out, and have a stop loss maybe 20% above where I bought, and then if it does fall down for whatever reason like it's been doing, I still walk away with a hefty profit. And that hefty profit is all I really want at this point here. But short term for Bitcoin, we are resting on support here. Just don't forget about that. It's going to be hard for us to break down below that unless we have some really bad news. You're seeing Bitcoin come back down, as I said, off of the tariff news, and the tariff news does not look good because it's daily. It's daily pounding on tariffs, and it's not like we have like an official announcement about it. It's more like it's a tweet or a Truth Social type of thing, and then it gets, we just get hit really hard. Actually, we haven't looked at this something in a couple days, but you go over to market sessions for Bitcoin. Right as the market opened, had a little bit of a spike, but we just went whoop, and again, whoop. You know what I mean? Even this morning, whoop, we had a rebound, but still. Last few market opens, it's been like short city. Back over here, this was a Saturday, so it doesn't count. This was a Friday, we spiked, then dropped, right? This was a Thursday, eventually dropped after a nice little spike. So again, we've still had that bearish trend going on every morning. And that means that if you guys want to scalp, unfortunately, you guys are going to be waking up early. For me, that means I would have to wake up if I wanted to get a good head start on everything, be up, be aware, be doing my technical analysis. I'd probably waking up at 4:30 or 5 to do that. I don't want to do that, so I don't, because I normally go to bed around 2 o'clock. But you guys would have to. Or if you guys on the East Coast, you guys might have to wake up around 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning and then get ready for the market day. But most of us are traveling to work, doing all of our stuff, things like that. For me, I'm sleeping because I usually tend to work late and trade late. But trading late, as you guys might imagine, like let's see, what we got? Thursday, Wednesday, there we go. Right, I get a little bit of this move right here, a little bit of this is basically what I was trading up until 2, right? So usually there's something for you if you really want it, right? Here's a little bit of scalping right here. I should have, if I was really up that early, I could have done that, but again, this was market open, right? Market open was all this crazy stuff. And pre-market, actually, it's pre-market plus market open. Let's go back over here, let's back this up a little bit to the 15 so you guys can see what's going on there. A little bit of a double bottom playing out here, maybe even more of a triangle that just broke out. But ultimately, we still are in this bearish trend, which really sucks. I got ChatGPT on today. Basically, I just tested it out. So I was testing it out with I told it to tell me a story so I could do this. There we go. So I got new pages on my streaming software. So this one's dedicated for ChatGPT now. This one is dedicated for YouTube videos now. This one is dedicated for everything else now. So I think I got like a nice little thing working on here. But yeah, we're definitely in a pickle. And I'm just taking advantage of this by dollar cost averaging. But I would label it as light dollar cost averaging, okay? So if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I know I haven't streamed since yesterday. This thumbnail must be bad because nobody's here really watching, right? Let me go to... There we go. Let's see if this one works a little bit better. There we go. I'm on the other side of the state, and even here it's too liberal. Well, that's because a lot of people from Seattle moved out to the eastern side of the state because it's cheaper. I was looking at land actually on the eastern side of the state for a little bit. I got friends who are very liberal who have land out to the eastern side of the state as well. Right, but even though I'm more moderate, I would say, but I'm definitely more conservative, I would say, on economic issues and a little bit of social issues. It really just depends. I do think the government should have some impact on our lives. I would just rather it be the state government over the federal government, especially since freaking Washington D.C. is so freaking far away from us. Yeah, but I definitely lean more conservatively, which is a tough thing to be in Seattle for sure. You see gold hit $3,000 per ounce today. Yeah, that was some good news here. Robinhood listed 3 new meme coins today: Popcat, Peanut Square, and Peanut Penguin coins. Oh, interesting. I did not know that. So those types of things, if they have low market caps, which I assume they do, I'll probably have to put a couple $100 into each of those and see how they do, because during an altcoin season, a lot of people don't have anything but Robinhood. So you will see a lot of money being funneled into that, which I think overall is going to be great for us. So we're going back to 2021. Depends on what you mean by 2021. Like 2021 is basically like right here. I mean, like it's real close by. So we were at 2021 basically back in October. So you could probably say yes if we have some type of big bad tariff news. Typically when I see a move like this, I bet that this is a monthly chart here, but usually we come back down to support and then we bounce off. So it might not be exactly 2021, but it might be close to those levels, I would say. Let me get rid of that little dot that's right there. Again, remember, right back over here last year, back in March, all the way over here to August, we did spend, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months going down, and we saw Bitcoin come down from around 74,300 all the way down to about 49,000 bucks. That was over 20,000, 25,000 bucks it went down, right? And now we're seeing Bitcoin down from 110,000 bucks all the way down to around 80,000 bucks, 76. That's even more of a large move down, but we're basically going Fibonacci to Fibonacci, Fibonacci to Fibonacci, and we're going to see if we're able to bounce off of that. But in the moment, I mean, I cannot stress, in the moment when we're seeing these drops like we've seen in the past, so let me put this on a pointer so I can like it a little bit more. These drops can be kind of violent. And if I go back over here, you can see what I'm talking about. I mean, the violence of these things can really spook the market. That's really what we don't want to have happen, but it's happened a lot. But again, you see we were down here for about, what, 4, 8, 12 hours of being down here. Then we managed to rebound. Then we had to change a character. Then we went up to resistance levels, basically right over here, right? And then it took a little bit of time, but we were able to make that move. But even then, we still had that higher low built up. Trump wins election, and then we're kind of off to the races. But I wonder. Let me see. Hold on. I pay for premium, but I don't know if that goes back far enough. Oh, it might. So this is a 15-minute chart. There it is. Oh, it barely goes back enough. Barely. So we don't get to see the whole thing. But this is a 15-minute chart of the chaos that happened, right? So we saw within one 15-minute candle, Bitcoin came down about 4,000 bucks, or about 7%. Rebound back up, continue to fall back down, right? This all happened within a few hours. Then we saw it come back up, come back down, and then boom, you saw the buying surge come right back in here. And of course, had to break down, had to consolidate a little bit more, broke out again here off of another big move with the whales, you know. Then again, broke down here, right? Breakout here. So there was some good moves, but like during that moment in time, everybody freaks out. So yeah, the ultimate support where I think we really don't want to break down below is going to be that Fibonacci line. And that Fibonacci line, if you want an exact number, is going to be 72,359. I will stress, we did go down below the number. We just didn't stay down there by the end of trading day. All right, you know, so on the daily chart, we didn't close below it. We closed above it. Closed above it here, closed above it here. Never had to worry about it. Once you break out above it, it makes it a lot easier to try to get back above, right? But as far as support, you can see same thing happened here. We never closed below. We got close, but we never closed below it. We never came low enough to test out this range because there was a banking crisis right here, I believe. No, was that no? The banking crisis was here, right? But again, there was no reason for us to retest the FTX lows, as we saw right here. That was back in 2022, and that was just pure chaos. The Fed was breaking banks. Everybody was freaking out. Remember there was a banking crisis. There was like two banking crises. There's two banking crises. So it's stuff we're all gonna have to live with here. And hey, Violet, happy to see you. And hey, Johan. Oh, we just went over this. Yeah, so basically more tariff news. So Trump threatens a retaliatory 200% tariff on Europe wine after EU proposes American whiskey tax. So right now, we've been putting taxes on other countries to protect our steel and in our industries and things like that. And we're getting ready for April, which is going to have the reciprocal tariffs. And it looks like Trump isn't going to be backing down from that. But what's happening here basically is we had good inflation news, good CPI, good PCE, good core CPI, all of it good. And you saw the market rebound a little bit off of it. It was good. But then we just had more tariff news, and the tariff news is basically overwhelming everything about the good news that we're seeing. Now, I will say that with this bad tariff news, we didn't see the market kind of break down to like new lows or something in this like little bear market that we've been in. But you never know what's going to be said tomorrow that's going to really drive people insane about all of it, right? At this point, market's still going sideways here for the most part. Maybe we're working on our own higher low and we can kind of figure out a way to get back up and running. I've already done my buying for this little dip, so I'm kind of waiting to see what happens next. I told you guys the other day off of this move here, I told you guys if you wanted to scale out, this was going to be your opportunity for one scale out or selling all of it if you bought the dip. If you did, you are happy with some of the profit you made right now because obviously it's come back down from 84,000 all the way back down to 81,000. So it's come back down a little bit. I told you guys I might be an idiot because I'm not selling it right now. I'm going to give it a month or two, like I said. But that's time that not everybody wants to put in there, especially if you're using a leverage trade. A couple months might be a little bit too much because you're just afraid of all the volatility again because of all the tariff news, the Ukraine-Russia news, the shutdown news. But as far as I saw with the shutdown news, I think things just got... I think the Democrats just submitted to Republicans as far as... Let's see. Schumer. Yeah, Schumer. I need to have one for this. Maybe this one? Does it work for this? Oh, it does. Awesome. There I go. Yeah, so maybe we can listen to this very fast. But breaking, Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has caved, announcing he will now back the continuing resolution passed by the House, which means Republicans are getting everything they want and Democrats are not able to fight back. I just realized that this is very loud in my ears, so let me go over here because I don't want to hear my own voice. There we go. Perfect. Desktop audio should be good. Let's just put this on and you guys can hear what Schumer has to say very fast.
Republican rejection leads us to a decision. And it's not really a decision, it's a Hobson's choice. Either proceed with the bill before us or risk Donald Trump throwing America into the chaos of a shutdown. This, in my view, is no choice at all. While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse. For sure, the Republican bill is a terrible option. It is not a clean CR. It is deeply partisan. It doesn't address far too many of this country's needs. But I believe allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option. And before I explain why, let me be clear about one thing. No one on my side of the aisle wants a government shutdown. Members who support this CR do not want a government shutdown. Members who oppose this CR do not want a government shutdown.
All right. So they're forced to do it because if they didn't vote for the bill, they'd be shutting down the government. and that'd be helping out Trump a lot. So Democrats have caved on this one. I know people are probably going to be pissed off at him for the most part. Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says he's going to vote for the Republican CR. It's time for Chuck to retire. I'm over him. Of course, if you're liberal, you're not very happy about this, and I can completely understand why. They are not playing hardball like Republicans are playing hardball, right? Yeah, so it's definitely pretty interesting right here. Who knows how this is going to end, but basically Chuck Schumer, yeah, he's not the tough leader you need. There's been nobody to fill up the Nancy Pelosi vacuum that's kind of emerged with all the power she had. I mean, because that lady ruled like within like an iron fist, you know what I mean? This is just curious. I just want to see this very fast. X-users call for algorithm overhaul. I really do think we need to have a better algorithm. The X algorithm, like I've said many times before, it's really, really, really bad. It's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. Ban porn on X. Let's see. There should be no algorithm. It should be the post post by everyone you follow in the order they were posted. That could be kind of interesting as well. I might like that more for a setting, because I do like to have an algorithm kind of like tailored like breaking news to me. I want to see the breaking news first, if you will. But I do think it's interesting here. Let's see. Get rid of it's a lot of porn. Turn off politics button. That'd also be kind of nice right here. Anything else? See, it would be great for if the For You and following feeds showed more recent posts instead of the 90% of them being 20 hours old. Why not a latest option as well? This is what I complain about all the time, and I don't know why they haven't done it. If you ask me, it's laziness because they don't have enough employees, right? But, you know, it is what it is. Okay, there we go. So we're seeing the future still up a little bit. That's some good news here. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm going to be kind of chilled today about this as I kind of test out the boundaries of my computer and how long it'll let me stream. I got a birthday party to go to at like 6-ish, but I can push it back to like 6:37 or something like that. And hey Tom, 72K is also near the 400 daily moving average. It's kind of funny how a lot of times these levels of support really coincide with a bunch of other levels, and it's just kind of one mass or cluster of support. And when we do break down below those or break out above them, you definitely see a very increased amount of volatility. Thought I smelled smoke for a second, but I think my window's open, so I think one of my neighbors probably has the oven lit, right? And hey, Sin, happy to see my man. Did you ever meet the warlord in Seattle a few years back, Raj Simone? I have never met any of the warlords. I don't even know what a warlord is in Seattle, actually. I don't really deal with Seattle for the most part. Like, when I go to Seattle, like, let me see. Map, Seattle. I only really go to a few places for the most part. I mean, there's a lounge down here that I go to. There's a club up here I go to in the Columbia Tower building, which is nice. I mean, maybe this is a good way to see it. Yeah, this one. At the top is a club I go to. That one's pretty fun. It's members only, but it's a great club. I want to get into this club right here, right next to it. This is called the Rainier Club, but they literally charge like an arm and a leg to go here, and I just don't. I can't justify the cost because I don't go up to Seattle all the time. But like, let me see if I can find it for you. Like, I'm not working at I already got my own gym membership. I don't need to like do all this extra stuff. Membership types. There we go. You can see it's a very old building. It's, you know, there weren't black people there just a few years ago type of vibe. There we go. No, right here. I'm under 40, so I get the under 40 membership. And, oh, it's not even showing you anything that I'm looking at. Maybe this one? There we go. All right, under 40, all right? So the initiation fee is $3,000 just to join. And then I have to pay $450 a month, right? And I'm like 5 miles from being 50 miles away. Otherwise, it's $4,000 plus $825 quarterly. I wish I can get this, but I can't because I live too close. But yeah, so it's a pain in the ass, and I'm probably not going to go there. I'm probably just going to get a friend that, like, I'm going to see if I know anybody that goes there, and I'll maybe tag along every now and again. But yeah, like $4,000 is wild. 825 is wild. I don't think the networking that's here is going to be of that tier that I feel that I'm going to be able to do some, make some profit, network, learn some cool things. This is definitely that elite style of person that, like, sure, I can hang out with them, but I can hang out with those types of people without having to pay $450 a month or a $3,000 initiation fee or $4,000 initiation fee. You know what I mean? I'm like, This is wild if you think about it. Absolutely wild. And hey, Spears, happy to see you, my man. Robinhood Gold membership, you can go into those gold boats. Yeah, you already said that, my man. Make sure not to spam the chat. But yeah, I mean, I've never been a fan of Robinhood. They've kind of like messed with my trades. I still remember they still lied about everything that happened with the GameStop fiasco and the AMC type stuff. So I've just never recovered my trust from them lying blatantly, the CEO lying blatantly. So I think if you're a new trader, it's okay to go there. They're going to have their issues, of course, but every platform's going to have their issues. So, take it or leave it type of thing. But I think for a beginner who just wants to learn the basics and put a few $100 in there, awesome. For the people that put tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in it, I'm just looking at you like, bro, what are you doing? It just makes no sense to me. But again, people have the right to do whatever the fuck they want, right? Definitely is pretty interesting there, though, right? Let me see. I wonder if there's anything else on X right now, because, go over here, look over Bitcoin. And so that looks like that. Okay, I'm just making sure before I go back to the charts here in a second. Trump's White House just said they want to buy as much Bitcoin as possible. Oh, yeah, I don't think that's going to really matter all too much for us. 5 minutes ago, how did Bitcoin react? It did nothing. Yeah, exactly. GameStop has $4.6 billion in cash, and its CEO recently met with Michael Saylor. Will GameStop be the next company to adapt? There's so much hype around this stuff, but I just don't know. Like, I don't see the reason for a company, for the most part, to buy Bitcoin unless they're really going to hold it for the long term, and they're going to really have to, hold on to it, right? Let's see. Saylor says Bitcoin is about to become the largest asset in the world in the next 48 months. See, that's 48 months. That's a long time, man. That's like multiple years. That's 4 years. That's 4 freaking years. This is exactly what it felt like here, though. This is exactly what this year felt like. Going up, and then boom. But we saw it kind of coming, just not as extreme, back when the Fed said they weren't going to be doing any more rate cuts back in December. What really drove us off the edge, though, I would say, is that we basically had the tariff news come out, right? And that tariff news really hit us hard. Really, really hit us hard. Let's back this up a little bit. There we go. And let's put this back over here. Awesome. All right. If you wanted something central and normie friendly, I'd go Uphold over Robinhood. Oh yeah, that's a good alternative as well. I mean, technically, I don't even have a Robinhood account anymore, and that's because I didn't open it, I guess, enough, and so they basically closed it, right? So we'll see. Let's see. Hold on, I gotta turn my volume down or my notifications down. I'm getting text. Oh, there you go, ringer. There we are. But yeah, so it's you can find what you want. There's a lot of options these days. Back in the day, you only had Robinhood, but I think now you have a lot, right? Mike, I think we'll get much lower prices in the next few months and rally in the summer. I think we're probably going to start a rally early summer. We're going to bottom out in the summer sometime, but I'm curious to see if we're going to be able to hold or not, because we've had these nasty moves before. It's whether or not we can settle our differences on the tariff stuff in the short term. I think that'll be a big cue. It's like where we go. But again, I'm just dollar cost averaging. I'm not even doing anything crazy. Again, for me to get really hyped up about Bitcoin, as I said before, we need those weekly MACDs, stochastic, and RSI to all get picked back up. Normally, you see when we actually do start to have some of these nasty moves, rarely do we actually go all the way back to the bottom. Normally kind of even off a little bit, right? Something like that. This is not a long enough chart. But we may, in fact, have to bleed for a minute here. For now, we do have the 50-week moving average here as a level of support. It was a level of support back over here in August, back in September, back over here in October, now all the way back here in March, and even back over here a little bit in the September. So if we break down below this, it will be a violent move down that maybe takes us back into the 60s and 50s. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, we're kind of in this consolidation moment where we have to kind of wait to see what happens next. And let me bounce out of that very fast. Go back over here. There we are. Let's see. All right. And hey, Vegas, happy Superman. Got added $5 trillion to the debt. See, oh yeah, that's crazy. We'll see about FOMC, the balance sheet. Oh, I see what you guys are talking about there, yeah. In Washington State, they limit our options. BitUnix, Blowfin, Weeks, Work. Yeah, I use Weeks right now. There's also BYDFi. They're one of the sponsors of the channel. I mean, we can't even get Kraken here last time I checked, but I think they might have changed the rules here, Kraken. Because for the longest time, I couldn't get it. Kraken. There you go. Captain Kriko. No, I don't get no warning, so maybe we have access to Kraken again as well. Kraken always had a weird UI to me, but it looks a lot better now than when it first opened up. Get started with Kraken. Ah, never mind, never mind. So if I go over here very fast, I said state Washington. At this time, Kraken cannot serve customers in your area. Learn more. So yeah, I'm kind of out of luck when it comes to Kraken. So yeah. Yeah, Washington does limit your options quite a bit here. You are definitely right about that. Moving average is for long term. Well, it depends on the moving average you're looking at. I mean, there are moving averages that are like this, where it's a 20, but it's only for a 15-minute chart, so it's not really that impactful. But you know, it's impactful enough, but not super impactful. Where if you have a 20 moving average on a daily chart or a weekly chart or a monthly chart, to me, it holds much more weight because it's really establishing a much stronger trend that's been built over a longer period of time. Right. You could also, if you don't like to do simple moving averages, or you find that simple moving averages aren't giving you the results you would like, you can always go over to exponential moving averages, which weight a little bit more towards the most recent price action and a little bit less towards the furthest price action from the unit of the moving average. Or you can go over to, what were the ones we talked about last week? So there's simple moving averages, which I use. There's EMAs, which a lot of day traders use. I don't use them. I just use simple ones. I think they're more than enough for me. EMAs get you a little bit of a head start, though. That's the point of them. And then you also got double exponential moving averages, which weigh even more towards the most recent candles and even less towards the furthest candles from the time frame, right? And then you got after that triple exponential moving averages, which are just wild. But if you go on TradingView, they're all there. You can use any one of them. They're pretty good. But I use simple. If you were to zoom out on Bitcoin, here, let me open up this chart right here and just go to maybe Bitcoin weekly chart. Oh, this one doesn't even have simple moving averages. Okay, well, fun enough. Okay, here we go. Here's the weekly. You can see how we've been able to bounce off the 20 here, but when we break down below the 20, there's usually a violent move down. That one wasn't as violent here, but see, violent moves down. So typically, it's a pretty big level of resistance and a pretty big level of support. So when we do eventually break out above them, they can be really good moves, really good strong moves. And when we're close to them, like right now, you could prepare to open up different trades that can really make you some good money if you guess right on the side of the volatility, right? So in this case, if you were a betting man right now, because of the way the momentum is going, if you could play the long game for 2 or 3 weeks here, and because momentum is going down on the weekly chart, stochastic and RSI, what you'd be trying to do right now is say, hey, we're at a big level of support right now. We basically have a change of character here off of this low. We basically have the MACD, the stochastic and RSI all bearish. So what I might be looking to do is say, hey, alrighty, what can I do here? Let's put a Fibonacci level on Bitcoin's price action as of late. We have a clear one, but you have to go to the daily chart to use it. The high, the low, the high, and you can see we have a Fibonacci level over here at 72,000. one over here at 67,000, and one all the way down here at 55,000. So if you wanted to play a long game, you could try to do a short from here. Wait for a while. It may go up and down and stuff, but eventually it finds its way down here to 67,000, 68,000. Or you can try to go for the big one and see if you can get it down to 55. 55, oh, that could be a really rough run, but maybe if there's some seismic big move or we go into recession territory, maybe that's what ends up happening, right? But for me, I'm a little bit more spooked about the support level right here, and if we're going to manage to break down below it. I think if you want to open up a short, you're basically doing a low leverage short, where you're looking at 5x or lower, and then you're going to let it sit for about a month, maybe a month and a half. Preferably just 3 weeks if we can really hold on here, but you can see the past few weeks, right? We've already had a pretty big move. Typically after those really big moves, we consolidate it a little bit. So I'm kind of just giving a little bit of time. But if you wanted to play that, you could definitely try to, even right now, you could open up a short, maybe anticipating we just go back down to this bottom level of support around 72,500, and then from there you scale it right there with a 5x leverage. That's still going to bring you in about 50% if you can hold for maybe like a week and a half if we still have this bad news going on, right? For me, I don't like to short at support. I like to wait for the breakdown. I don't like to long at resistance. I like to long the breakout, typically. And the only reason I'm a little bit more skeptical right now, this MACD on the daily chart has just been kind of abysmal for having like really good trades. Now, if you like, there's a few that worked out, like this one right here, right? If you were to short this, everything was bearish, 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 break of structure. You have a few days of going down before you hit that support level, right? Back over here, again, it kind of worked out okay for the first few days, but they're just not really meaty moves as much as I need them to be. Like I've been day trading within this, but I haven't been necessarily feeling comfortable enough to do the whole move. And maybe that's just because I haven't had to like day trade in a minute, right? Because over here, there was also this level of support, so I was day trading into it, right? But if I were to pop this open right here for you, basically look at that little level of support, go to maybe a 15-minute chart. See that line is? What am I looking at right here? Oh. Somehow I forgot exactly what I was going to say here because there's two different lines here. Okay. Let's go to that one. Breakdown. Let's go back over here where we started this one. That's what confused me. Okay. 15-minute chart. There we go. Right. So you could trade that from the time. I might be more willing to do like short over here, close my position over here. When probably even over here when I see that first bounce, I'm like, I get scared out of it. But I still managed to make that profit off of it. Or now that I see we're breaking down here, right? I can open up a short once I'm kind of confident we're not going to have an end of day close bounce, right? You open up one over here. You look for your next support level, and that next support level in this case was, let's go to the 4-hour chart. Was right there. Then go back over here to maybe a 15-minute chart. And you can see we had a slow, maybe like a, what, 15, half an hour, 40, like an hour long wait before we fell down below. And we still went down even more, right? But again, opening up a trade right here, closing right there, you still walked away with profit. You might not have got the bottom, but maybe if you waited too long, maybe it would have spiked back up and all of a sudden you missed out on the opportunity to short right there. Right? You just never know sometimes. But as long as you're walking away with a profit, you're not really in a bad mood, I would have to say. Maybe you wish you would have made more, but then again, you could just say, hey, I'm scaling out half of my position here, and I'm going to give it a little bit more time, and I'll put a stop loss for the rest of my trade up here because I opened the trade over here. I'll still be happy if I sit the scale out, the stop loss here, right? So you got options, But right now, everything's still more bearish than bullish, but on the shorter time frames, you're seeing much more wiggle room. So if I go over here to the 4-hour chart very fast, go to auto. There you go. See, the 4-hour chart is actually bullish right now, Now it is turning over very quickly right here. So we got bearish, bearish, maybe bearish the next few hours here. 12-hour is turning bullish. Daily is still bearish here, but getting more light, right? 2 hours bearish, the 1 hour is bearish, the 30-minute is bullish, the 15 is bullish. There's so much flip-flopping, if you will, with all this type of stuff that I'm like, you know what? I'll chill. But with the moves we talked about before, that's more of the moves I would actually make when I'm able to. And you can see, actually, as I talked about them, like the breakdown from here to here, right? That starts off at an early morning if you want to make that trade, though, right? Closing it, you close it off again in the early morning. So you got to be up. Or like me, you open up the trade when you think something bad is going to happen, right? So over here is when we had the confirmation of the bearish move, right? And over here, this is kind of when I trade late night. So I open up my trade. I have my stop loss put up here, which is this level of resistance. For this one, I think it was more up here. And then you have your price target, which again is this support level down here. And you can see it bounces off a little bit. So there's different ways of going about it. But again, by this time, you're up and about. I'm up and awake, and I'm like, oh, what's going on here? We're getting close. Maybe I'll close out a little bit early because it's already been going the way I want it to, and I don't want to have to risk it having a nice little pop or something. I always get spooked by things like this. Like, I could have shorted up here. I'll still get spooked, sell right here, and watch it continue going down. I'm like, fuck. So, again, I'm not a perfect trader. I make enough to make a living off of it. Which is good. But, like, sometimes I don't even trust my own technical analysis, which is wild because it usually works out very, very well. Gold is getting close to 3K. Yeah. Low roller scratcher was actually just talking about that. The largest foreign holders were Japan with 1.1 trillion and China with 834 billion. That was in 2023. Now it's much higher. What happens if they sell their positions? For what? Oh, gold, yeah. I mean, I would say there's probably going to be a little bit more of a panic, but I think America would probably just buy up as much as possible. I think America would be like really buying it up. I think that'd probably be a policy of ours, actually. But again, I don't think China would want to sell all that gold. That's my thing. I don't think they actually want to sell it. No, I don't think they would. I think they want stability just like everybody else, but they're going to fight for what's theirs, for what they deem as theirs, right? Like with America doesn't like China because China has access to American markets, but America doesn't really have access to Chinese markets, which is a pain in the ass for a lot of people, right? As much as we want to, I should say, right? EU has a lot of access to American markets, but the EU also puts up a lot of tariffs against America, which America doesn't like. Same with Canada, same with Mexico. So Trump's remember, Trump is more transactional. I guess that's the way the media describes him, more transactional. For Europe, why are we paying for your security and keeping you safe, but allowing you to take advantage of us in trade deals? If you want our protection, you're going to have to do things a different way. And Europe is saying, okay, well, we'd rather do things a different way, where we build up our military and protect ourselves with a little bit of help from you, right? But we're not going to really budge on our trade practices or our trade deals. And so they're having to pay a massive cost for that, though, because now they have to go more into debt in order to fund this new European military mission that they're trying to build. Remember, they don't really have the ability to make a lot of stuff out there. And so that makes everything just a little bit more turbulent for them. And they're going to have their own issues because of that. But they're no longer able to enjoy the free ride that we've been giving them, if you will. So if they're forced to pay, that means there's going to be other issues for them. So Trump is giving them options, and I don't think they're choosing the options that Trump thought they would. Or maybe they are, and he understands he just has to kind of bully them into submission. And we can bully the EU into submission. We can bully Canada. We can bully Mexico. We can even bully China. But it'd be a lot easier if we were just bullying one of them at a time. I think because of how the American electoral system works, he basically is thinking already about 2026 in the midterms. So if he's able to do all of this really, really quickly, get it done all really, really fast with a lot more pain in the short term, right? So have like kind of spread out more evenly. Well, then, just maybe he'll be able to go to the midterms and say, hey, look at all the stuff I was able to do. I got all these new jobs coming in from overseas because we're building back our manufacturing base here in America. We have all these new investments in America. That's what I think his goal is right now, but it's a very, very tough one to do. It's a very, very tough one to do. You're buying gold every day? Dude, gold's a great thing to own. I own it for the long term for sure. It's our debt, not gold, sorry. Oh, yeah. I don't think they'd fuck with that because then we'd really fuck with them, if that makes sense. Like, if it was Biden, it might actually cross their mind. With Trump, I feel like they're just kind of a little bit afraid of Trump because he is kind of like psychotic in certain ways, right? All presidents have a little bit of a psychotic twinge to them. But, like, it's why Putin didn't invade Ukraine while Trump was president. But he was happy to do so with Obama and happy to do so with Biden. There's just a different mentality. I would say out of the three, Trump was the strongest as far as, like, macho man, you mess with America, you're going to, you mess with the bull, you're getting the horns type of stuff. But Obama wasn't terrible. He just wasn't able to really commit like you're supposed to. And when you look indecisive, your enemies will kind of use it against you, right? Because we didn't want to have another war. We were like slowing down on military, like, ramping down military operations in the Middle East and things like that. But then Biden, he had his mental issues. And that really changed the game because I don't think people really understood this in America. My whole life revolves around news and stuff around cryptocurrency, global politics, and things like that. I find European global news very interesting. So I watch a few channels here and there every now and again, like maybe a couple times a week. I watch like France 24. I watch Channel 4 News, the BBC. I watch DW from Germany. And the more, I would say, moderate to... I wouldn't say... The more left-leaning news organizations, all of them, right? I'd probably say all of them are pretty left-leaning from how I see them talk to conservatives versus liberals, right? And how they view the far right versus the far left. They kind of lean more towards the far left if they have to choose. But even them, back in like 2022, 2023, before all this stuff came out about the debate with Trump and how Biden's cognitive decline was much worse, they were already talking about how his mental decline was messing up different things across the global sphere, if you will. So again, these things matter, but right now, I guess Trump, his madness is making people more afraid than worried, I guess. I don't know the best way to articulate that thought, but you're seeing some countries back down, like Canada. Mexico back down a little bit here, but Canada's coming back for round 2, and Trump again is going to mess with them. But Trump has been effective of pushing Canada around so far. The EU, I don't think, is going to be as easy to push around. But again, we just talked about that 200% wine tariff. Now, if EU pushes taxes on tariffs on American whiskey, I mean, do you know how much wine America gets from Europe? Like, actually, I got ChatGPT for this one reason here. So let's go over here very fast. Let's go over here to... I thought I just had a GPT design for me right here. Economics. Oop, I didn't spell econ right. AI robot macroeconomics expert? Sure. I mean, sure. Let's go with this one. Start chat. How much wine does America is it just because it needs to be capitalized? Yeah, okay. Maybe I got dyslexia or something. I don't know. How much wine does America import from the EU, and what would happen if we put 200% tariffs on that wine? Oh, no. How much wine and champagne does America import from the EU, and what would happen if we put 2% on that wine and champagne? Oh, didn't spell it right the second time. Yeah, okay. Let's just see what ChatGPT has to say about this. EU wants to build an army for no reason. I think it's funny because the EU seems to forget that we have like 60,000 troops in Europe right now. But if they want to build an army, let them build an army. I'm like, they're trying to. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know, but let them do what they want to do. Let's not like impose our will on them. They're trying to build up an army. Let them do it. I mean, that's just less work we have to do, to be honest. So that's kind of a nice thing. So in 2024, the United States imported approximately $5.4 billion worth of wine from the European Union. France alone accounted for about $1.6 billion of these imports. Imposing a 200% tariff on the EU wine and champagne would likely lead to a significant price increases for these products in the United States market. Such a substantial tariff could make European wines and champagnes prohibitively expensive for many consumers, leading to a sharp decline in demand. This scenario would adversely affect U.S. importers, distributors, retailers, and restaurants that rely on European alcoholic beverages, potentially resulting in business closures and job losses within these sectors. I don't think so just over wine. It could be some small mom and pop businesses, like a restaurant, they got California wine in there, for heaven's sakes. Moreover, American consumers might shift their preference toward domestic wines or seek alternative imports from non-EU countries. That's what I would do. Altering the competitive landscape of the U.S. wine market. The European wine industry would also feel the impact, as the United States is a significant market for their products. However, the extent of this impact would depend on various factors, including the elasticity of demand and the availability of substitute products. In summary, a 200% tariff on the EU wine and champagne imports would likely lead to higher prices for consumers, reduced demand for these products, and economic challenges for businesses involved in their importation and sale to the United States. All right. And they pull up some news articles here that we can always check out, but we don't need to do all that type of stuff. Geopolitical wise, Italy is one of the few European countries not far left. Yeah, I was very shocked when they elected that woman, I forget her name, so I'm just going to say that woman, to office. But she seems like she has some cojones, so I do have some respect for her. She seems like she's in the game, right? And she has what it takes and stuff like that. Okay, but okay, buddy. I thought I was going to stream until like 6 o'clock, but I'm totally backing out of that one. We've streamed for about an hour and 6 minutes here. I gotta go get dressed. I do want to be to this birthday party on time here, and I'll be talking with you guys a little bit later. I've been like slammed with like backup work since I kind of figured out what's wrong with my computer. I've been playing catch up with all these little things I've been having to do for different clients. I'm gonna be some of you guys know I work with some AI companies, and I do some consulting as well because they like what I do with social media and it's kind of advice. So I enjoy it, but it's just like work. Okay, I shouldn't say work. It's like maybe 2 hours of work a month, so it's not like I'm doing a lot, but like in total, I guess consulting maybe takes up like 8 hours of my month. But still, it's 8 hours. I need to be doing something for them because the money they pay. But I got to make a tutorial for Opus Clip because they want a new tutorial, and my tutorials are usually really good because I go into detail about what every single button does. So that'll be kind of fun to see as well. But yeah, so I'll let you guys know how that turns out. I'll be posting it maybe later on this weekend here. As far as the markets, everything's still fine as far as I can see. It's still bearish, but I think we have some potential to hold on here. If we have more tariff news tomorrow, might dip back down into the high 70s or something like that. But I'm gonna hold off on that for now. Tomorrow is Friday, so I should be live around 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock if I'm lucky. Maybe I'll even try 4 to 6 if we can. Yeah, maybe I'll try that here. And I'm thinking Saturday because I do have my computer kind of working right now. As long as I don't move my wires, we should be good to go. For me to try to game with you guys and just chill out and then play a game, right? Play a video game, talk, and just chill. Maybe I'll pull out a pipe, or something like that, and we'll be good to go. I think we should be good. And hey, Vegas, the computer is basically, if I move the HDMI cords that are plugged into the GPU in the back, the screens go black. So what's been happening is by accident, I've been nudging my computer. I've been moving my desk, hitting my desk, just because the nature of moving around, like you put your arm on the desk, that shakes it a little bit, right? And that seems to have been setting all of this off here. I have this Stanley cup right here. I drank the rest of the water last night. Now it's, of course, filled back up, but I accidentally dropped it. Not dropped it, but like it actually fell, like tipped wise, right? And that on my desk was enough of a vibration to set that thing off, right? So it is a little bit of a worrisome for me because I've been so stressed about this because I can't just find a GPU anywhere out there right now. And I'm gonna have some people. My grandmother's gonna help me. What do you call it? She's gonna do some research for me. We'll see how that turns out. But I already got a couple ideas where I want to have my computer built. So I don't want to have to deal with anything at all. I think I can let it like work for now, but like literally, like I told you guys, Loki's been jumping on the bed and the camera moves because of it. I literally have like 2 massive air conditioners right here to the left that blocks off this whole access to the bed. So because he knocked into the wire earlier today and the monitors went black while I was working. So I was like, there we go. So yeah, it's definitely a thing to worry about right now. But you know, it'll be fine. As far as I can keep it like this, I should be okay. Could be. USA only sells 800 million of liquor to EU. Big difference. Oh yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like they're gonna get so fucked compared to battling with us because they just don't have the leverage. We have the leverage. We're the people that have the, what do you call what's that called? Trade imbalance. It's not trade imbalance. You know what I'm talking about. Trump always talks about it like all the time. Trade imbalance, trade deficit, right? Right. We're the people that always have the bad trade deficit because we're buying from everybody else. They're not buying from us, which is the whole point. If you want to sell stuff here, you're going to have to allow us to sell stuff there. And it's not going to be easy street as it once was. So we're going to have to see, right? Trade imbalance. Yeah. All right. So see you guys a little bit later. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to go get changed up because I'm wearing a t-shirt and some sweatpants. And then I have to go to a birthday party, which is going to be very, very fun. Try getting a new cord for it. It's not the cord. I already switched out the cords and everything. It's basically you wiggle it, and if you push it up and down, it like kind of opens up the GPU a little bit, which is kind of interesting. But I'm not going to bother with it. I'm done with trying to fix it. I'm absolutely done. I fucking hate all this shit. I honestly, I don't like it anymore. So I'm going to work on getting a computer built by this company up in Seattle or some company I find online. Throw some money at it. Wait 30 days to 60 days until they find myself a GPU to kind of put it together. I'm going to get a new computer with this one right here. I'll probably use it for something else, but I am going to go to Home Depot or something like that and literally like have a friend of mine who's like a woodsman or like a plumber type guy, plumber electrician guy. He's an electrician who used to be a plumber. There you go. I'm going to have him build something for me that keeps the cords very stable so they do not move. And then I'm going to put get longer HDMI wires that go from my monitors to my computer. And I'm going to have my desktop not be on this big old desk that I'm at. I'm going to have it be on a separate thing where nobody can touch it, nobody can mess with it. And there's no reason that the wire should ever move. And therefore, this computer would work perfectly. So I'm not going to dive into the computer. I'm not going to do anything. I'm simply just going to be like, you know what? I don't have to do all that stuff. I will spend more time and effort to make sure it just doesn't happen again my way because I know it'll work and I'll be happy with that, right? I hate being upset and I am upset with this computer, very much so. But I'm happy I know the difference. So what I'll do for you is maybe I'll like nudge the desk very fast and see if it actually turns off the monitors or not. I don't know if it will because I specifically put the monitors, like the wires in a way where it shouldn't mess up too much. No, it's not moving. Maybe if I move, hold on. Maybe if I move, this is how the stream is going to end today. This is going to be funny. Maybe if I move the wires like this, I can't tell. I don't know how Loki does it. Or, no. See, I don't even know. But I'm happy it lasted for this stream, and I probably shouldn't mess it up because when I mess it up, it actually does affect, like, you can't even shut the computer down sometimes, which is very weird. You got to flip the switch in the back. So, see you guys a little bit later. Thanks for chilling with me. Hot glue? No, I'm not fucking putting hot glue on this computer. I like it too much. You know what I mean? Like, see, again, there's so many different things. I'm gonna do the very difficult extra way of doing things, but I know it'll still look nice. It'll still be pleasant. I just gotta get longer HDMI cords, and much longer HDMI cords. Actually, the 6-foot ones aren't gonna cut it. And I'm just gonna put it in I got a safe area by my window, so it has like the nice cool air coming in, and I should be perfect with it. So See you guys a little bit later. Thanks for watching. I'm off to a birthday party. Have a good day.